Hi, welcome or welcome back. My name is Yu Win. You can call me Yu Win or Win. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to be with you here again today. And if you are joining me for the first time, I like to share some practices I use to help me get grounded or centered throughout the day. And so this one is just a question. But I like to ask myself, what are you enjoying? So you might take a moment and tune in. You might close your eyes just to see if you can get a better picture of your inner landscape. I'm enjoying stillness. I'm enjoying solitude. I'm enjoying the lack of urgency. I'm enjoying the lack of being called to do something. I'm enjoying the slight breeze from my window and the fact that the sun is still out. That's it. A tool for your toolbox. It helps me because one of the things I've identified as being important is to enjoy more moments than I don't, or to enjoy more moments than not. And so when I have a chance to tune in and ask myself what I'm enjoying, I feel like I'm adding to the joy in my life. So, with that, I wanted to talk a little bit today about, I guess, this idea around spiritual growth or spiritual awakening. And so I'd heard it on and off, but it didn't make sense until I learned about the twin solar, twin flame journey. And so, as people were explaining it and describing it, I was like, is that something? Do my twin soul catalyze something? And so today I was thinking about it and I had recently had this conversation with a friend. She was asking me about my journey and, the moment when I realized something needed to change. Right. It was quite a timeline um, assessment or review. And so I identified the meeting of my twin soul as a significant event in my journey. That was November, December 2021. And right before he came into my life, I had gone to a point where, and I used the word, I felt, I felt resigned to the life I was living. Um, I had essentially finally accepted my role as my mother's primary caregiver, or yeah, caregiver. I like to refer to it as that. Um, and for whatever reason, I didn't see um, the possibility of meeting new people. I mean, it was still, I was still isolated after COVID, and uh, I don't know, just the prospects of something different didn't seem likely at that point. So then in comes my twin soul. We live at a distance. Um, and somehow I was like, is it possible? Is it possible for something different to happen? And so I was curious and, we got to know each other and we spent some time um, messaging each other. And I was like, oh, okay. Like maybe there are other possibilities, right? This morning, when I was reflecting back on that event, I was also thinking that before that, essentially there were things that were like stripped away from my life. So in September of 2019, I had left my full time job, and with it, the slow um, removal of those people from my life, right? I'd been in the organization for 8.5 years. I had spent a good amount of time uh, meeting people who were new, mentoring people, getting to know people. And I had a good sense of, the people that I could have lunch with and have conversations with and keep in touch with outside of work. And so September 2019, March 2020 would be lockdown. And so just in general, right? Like social isolation. And then even though March of 2021, getting my vaccine, and then 6 months later, getting the second um, vaccine shot, um, a lot of those people um, had slowly, just fallen off, and we just, um, it wasn't as convenient. It took more work to reach out or to reach in, and so by the time my twin came in, there were still a few people I was still connected with from work, and then my other close friends who also lived at a distance, right? So, in addition to the removal of people, the loss of people, um, there is also the loss of my father. There's a loss of stuff, right? We went through his things and we let go of what we didn't need. We kept things that we didn't know what to do with. And in the process, tried to let those things go as time has gone by. But also because of the different shifts at the time, um, also went through negative financial growth and the loss of some of those like lifestyle pieces, right? So even though I was never really an avid traveler, and it took me probably up until 2018 before I was not um, irrationally afraid that everyone would pass away when I traveled, or that I would pass away when I traveled. Um, there has not been a lot of new places that I've been able to go to. I also, with my means, uh, it slowly over time, not needing to go to the store to buy clothes or purses or shoes or whatever other things that I was buying because I liked them. And so as my net worth decreased, I found out what I needed and what was important, and the other things I either put aside or I don't know if give up or gave up was the right terminology, but just more physical loss. So now I feel like this is sort of like the second round of growth or awakening. And because of, I guess, like the decluttering, because like the noise is like gone from more money, more problems, I sense that this round of awakening has been decluttering myself So if it was like my external things and people, this round feels like letting go of beliefs, letting go of beliefs that don't serve me, letting go of habits, letting go of patterns. I mean, first identifying them and then being curious about how it's supporting or not supporting me, and then making a decision. I'm going to let this go and I'm going to replace it with something different and something intentional. And so, this process and this time around, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to let things go. And it is probably due to the fact that I was getting used to loss. I was like getting used to letting things go physically from the first round. So, as I'm going through what I'm going through right now, um, I think I've been exploring some of the archetypes that Carl Jung outlined in his work. And, like looking at the archetype of rescuer and like where it comes from and how it can manifest in relationships, and just really wanting to figure out how to change it to something different and to let it go. I mean, I don't know how, but I think I'm at a point too where trust is almost like a byproduct of something that I'm doing. So, what I learned about the rescuer is that, you put yourself in an inferior position. You give, they take. You bend, they, whatever they do. Um, and that the wound is feeling like you need someone else to feel whole. And so I would say that if I came across that information a year ago, I'd be like, well, I might not have been ready. I might not have been comfortable sort of meeting with that part of me. But I'm like, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And so now I'm just like, how do I change it? How do I let it go? What do we got to do? And it's paralleled because probably a month ago, 3 weeks to a month ago, I was going through things and I was looking and I was like, this has to go. I'm like, I don't need this. Like, why is it here? And I was like, oh, this is so much easier. Like, it's so much easier for me to like declutter and let things go. And I was really excited. And then as I was looking at these different habits and these different patterns mentally, emotionally, I was like, oh, same. So it's really interesting to be in this place because historically I've been a pack rat. And I think that, I saw it in my caregivers and my family members. And I think when you experience the loss that they did, right? Hoarding, keeping things beyond their expiration date, right? Um, Sort of a way to feel like you still have some control, that you don't have to lose everything. And so, for the longest time, had letters from middle school and high school, and, every single person who ever wrote me a letter, I like kept them. And then over the years, I just sort of like, oh, I don't talk to this person, or like, who is this person? And I like let some of them go, right? Or like Christmas cards, or like I even saved wrapping paper that people gave me. And over the years, slowly, I've let things go. But whatever's going on and wherever I am now, it's really interesting. And I'm really curious to see. And my sense is that it's really taking me into a new timeline, or, I refer to it as a new era, hot girl era, um, a new chapter sometimes. a new book. And during this time, also, I was looking through photos on my phone because I was trying to delete things that I didn't need. And I remember looking at my photos, and this is probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was looking at my photos from like earlier this year, and I was like, I don't recognize myself. Like, I look different in these photos. And like, I can look at a photo from when I'm 3 and realize like I've changed. I can look at photos from when I'm 20 and realize like I don't look like that anymore. But, like March, May, June, July, and this was like late September, right? Like, I don't recognize her. So I think maybe this is what they call like the ego death, that, I'm now shedding like these pieces of me that I felt like I identified with, and that as I'm opening my eyes to different possibilities and who I'm becoming, maybe who I'm meant to be versus who I am, um, these things don't feel necessary to hold on to. But I will say, and I'm also trying to figure this piece out, is I don't think that abandoning, like these versions of us, like is necessarily healthy, because when we are abandoned, especially someone who has an abandonment wound, it's very scary, right? And so I think there's something about integrating these parts, or like taking the wisdom and maybe like putting it aside, or yeah, I'm still figuring it out. If you have and or are going through a spiritual awakening, I'm curious like what your experience has been like, and any ideas or realizations that you've had. If the idea of spiritual awakening is new to you, um, I just think maybe it's like how a snake sheds its skin. Maybe it's how a caterpillar goes into the cocoon. And it's like those stages that help us to evolve into the person we're meant to be. And I think a huge part of it is surrendering the idea or the attachment to who we think we should be versus who we can be. Or I don't know. I guess just the idea that you can want something, but to be open to how it comes about. And I'm still figuring it all out for myself. But I was curious about these sort of nuanced rounds that I've been going through. And I was like, oh, maybe I can share this with my community and see what lands and what doesn't. So I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts, or if you have any resources or things to share. I hope that wherever you are healthy, and you're experiencing some ease, and whatever is on your plate, whatever is swirling around you, I hope that you find and hold on to love for yourself and for your loved ones. I hope that you know, or you can come to believe, that who you truly are is deserving of love. I send you a very big hug, and I look forward to connecting with you next time. Until then, take good care. Okay, bye bye.